And welcome back to another edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnston, joined by the one and only LaMarr Fields. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, boy, have we seen a rocky and weird wild card round, and now the NLDS. Baseball is getting to its best spot right now. I'm a firm believer this is whenever, you know, that baseball is the best that it's ever been in regards to the season. But what do you think of the NLCS right now with the two teams that are there, Phillies and the Padres? First off, I swear I only think the Dodgers can win a World Series in a shortened season. Once again, you know they got eliminated, but based off of how the playoffs went so far, are you very shocked?
Yeah, a little bit. But with baseball, it comes down to the playoffs, man. Manager the decisions, like Dodgers, poor manager decision on Dave Roberts. Put starter got pitched 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 86 pitches. At least got another in and out of them. And it's like the announcer said last night. You got a pitcher going 5 innings, he pitching well, you leave him in there. But then you continue on the bullpen to get like 12 or some outs.
Mm-hmm.
And it backfired. It might cost him his job. I mean, you win 111 games, you can't get out the divisional round.
Yeah, that's not a good look on Dave Roberts. It's really not. I mean, it's kind of crazy because it goes to show a couple different things. For one, it's how good is that team? I mean, I think whenever you look at a team like the Dodgers, at this point, whenever you are literally a team that spends a lot, you're a team that's constantly in it, but more importantly, you're a team like the Dodgers, you should at least be expected to go to the NLCS or the World Series for that matter. I mean, you know, it's crazy that it turns out that way. I mean, the Dodgers, they still have talent and are still very good, but it just doesn't look good that they lost in the NLDS like they did and stuff. But I mean, the playoffs are an interesting time for baseball, but I do agree it might cost Dave Roberts his job. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did, just because if your pitcher's doing good, that's just like the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
it's the playoffs. It ain't regular season baseball no more.
Listen, whenever you're in the playoffs in baseball, you throw everything you can at the opposing team because it is literally do or die no matter what. Even if you go all five, it's still do or die because one team's going to win, one team's going to lose. That's just really how it is. But I'm just saying, overall, if it ain't broke, don't fix. The way that they pitching yesterday and all that, it was just, yeah. I think that had part reason why they lost. It's hey, you don't take the pitcher out that's doing well, but on the other hand, when you look at the NLDS, it's crazy to say the least. With the Phillies and this dawned on me for a minute is that I think looking back, whenever you look at how the Phillies had to get to this point, they were on the road for almost like 2 weeks or so, and they were fighting just to say just get there. And now you look at what they've displayed. I mean, people, they took out the defending worlds. They took out the World Series champs to break.
Mm-hmm.
It's no easy task, especially with what they had. But I mean, do you think there was more pressure on Atlanta this time for the simple fact that they were the World Series champs and they realistically had the talent or so to go all the way again if need be?
I don't think it was that too much pressure on them. They won last year. I mean, Phillies just Phillies just played with more fire, man. That Philadelphia crowd was wild. I mean, after Hoskins hit that 3-run home run in game three, the crowd was all raucous. You could see the pitcher was all shook from it. I mean, Phillies playing good baseball, man. They started out slow, fired Girardi, and look where they're at now in LCS with a chance to go to the World Series.
And that's kind of crazy now to think about it. Yes, they fired Girardi and such, and on top of that, it's just like the way that they started out. Everybody didn't even think that they were probably going to be in a position like this, but they found a way with playing the right way, playing good winning baseball that they could find themselves anywhere, and it's crazy, and it's also crazy, right now how in the NL or in the ALDS, the Guardians have taken a lead against the Yankees in the series, and
Yep.
Houston is already secured their spot in the ALCS, and they await who will join them. Do you think the Guardians might have the Yankees number, or do you think New York pulls this out?
Hard to say. Another bad match. Another bad management decision by Aaron Boone. Not putting the closer in. Clay Holmes the closer, and you got the players coming out. They were shocked saying Clay Holmes wasn't in the game to close the game because he's a closer.
Mm-hmm.
So these managers get in their own head sometimes. Aaron Boone was pulling out relievers and stuff in, and they'll need to pull relievers out. Just over managing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got to win today. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm glad he took Aaron Judge at the leadoff spot because he was struggling and striking out. He had a home run yesterday because you put him in a leadoff spot, he ain't got no protection.
I was just about to say, looking at Aaron Judge's performance so far in the ALDS, a lot of people are booing him, and I get it, but is it really worth booing the guy? I mean, let's just be realistic. What hitting 62 homers and all that plus in a season, that's going to take a lot out of you. And be having the stats he has in a regular season. I mean, yeah, that's no excuse to go 0-7, but it's also like you say, if you have him in the leadoff spot, then it's going to be a lot tougher because the leadoff person, it's not like being down in the middle of the lineup where you have protection. So it's like you might get a better pitch selection than if you were, say, at the top of the lineup because, I don't think that's what a lot of people understand is sometimes a baseball lineup is structured as a strategy because you want your leadoff guy to be able to get on and potentially have the speed to steal second. But for a guy like Judge, I would always say you put that guy in the middle of the lineup where he has people around him that can protect him. So that's just in some ways you're forced to pitch to him. And
he should be batting third. I don't even like him batting second. He should be batting third. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire never batted second, first. Come on, man.
I don't know what Aaron Boone's doing. I don't, but you know what? I can't question him because I'm not a manager in baseball, or I haven't.
I'm not a manager in baseball, but I never saw a power hitter like that batting first or second.
Yeah. I get it.
Frank Thomas never. A-Rod said it after the game on the postgame show. He never batted second. Well, he did bat second when he first came up, but he had Ken Griffey Jr. and all them in the lineup. But when he was at his higher plateau, he never batted second. Frank Thomas never batted second. David Ortiz never batted second or first. I don't care if I'm not a manager or not. I watched enough. I watched from 40 years old. I watched 30 something years plus of baseball. Aaron Judge shouldn't be batting first or second.
Listen, sometimes I don't know. It's funny. It is funny to say the least. But I mean, what would you expect? I mean, whenever you're the leadoff person, Judge ain't never been in that position. I mean, I don't even think he played leadoff. He led off in high school. I don't think so either. But that's besides the point. Here's what I really don't get. If you've been putting Judge in the 3 slot the entire time in the lineup, the regular season on up to now, why would you switch him? It just what analytics do you look at that says, yeah, I should bat Aaron Judge first?
Yeah, try and see if he hit a home run or lead the game off and go up 1-0. But
That shouldn't be your
yeah,
objective.
yeah,
Your objective should be I need guys to get on in front of Judge, but I also need protection around Judge because
yeah.
of how dangerous the guy is. But even then, it's just like, what analytics tell you to do that? I don't get it. Every coach preaches analytics, how we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, why aren't you doing it then? It's just like it's crazy. But hey, I mean, hopefully Aaron Boone makes some changes and stuff, and he realizes that maybe in order to win, I should never change what I never really did change in the first place. But for a guy like Aaron Judge, he should not be batting leadoff. But does it surprise you that the Astros are in the ALCS once again?
No, don't surprise me. But the Mariners had their chances. Should have won game one and could have won that game yesterday.
Yeah,
Yes, young team. Young team. They got the taste of playoffs. So hopefully next year they build. Hopefully next year they build on it
that's true.
and don't go back and don't go backwards.
That's the most important part, especially if you have a guy like Julio Rodriguez that you hear reports that they want to commit to him long term. Like, you know, make the effort to be better. That's the whole goal year in year out is you want to be better than you were the year before. Now, if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'll get into that in just a moment, but if you're a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, you really don't grow. You kind of just stay the same or descend, and it's awful. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the Astros are back in the ALCS, but it'll be an interesting one, no matter if the Guardians or the Yankees advance. So, yeah, that's it for that. Now, I do want to touch a little bit on this because I heard this from Ben Cherington himself. He had a press conference that, basically along the lines, he said that most players should be prepared to come ready to compete for positions while a few have their positions locked down. But he also says he can neither confirm nor deny if the Pirates' payroll will increase or decrease. And my whole problem with this is, well, the owner might do everything in his power to decrease the payroll. I mean, it's really sad where it's at. I think the last time I checked, it's under $50 million. It's absolutely atrocious. I don't get how you think you could put a winning product on the field by doing what it is that Bob Nutting's doing. But hey, it's how he wants to run the team. I just don't think that they're going to make some miraculous signing or whatever. And hey, I don't think that they're really on a track right now to really do anything good unless I really think that what they need to do is they need to lock up a few other guys for the future. O'Neal Cruz and guys like that. That way you can commit to long-term stability, but in order to build a foundation, you need a few seeds in the water that are willing to be committed to both sides for a fair amount of time to make something develop. So I don't know how the Pirates offseason is going to go, but I just know it's really not going to be that great, at least for the short term. I hope the long term future is better, but the short term right now, it's crazy. Well, we kind of already touched on the NL and ALCSs. I mean, we haven't fully touched on the ALCS because only one team has made it, but there's a good chance that the other NLDS or the ALDS series can end quickly. But my final thoughts, at least the playoff wise, is I'm just shocked right now just to see. I mean, I'm not necessarily shocked at say the Dodgers per se, but I'm just shocked that kind of how the Philadelphia Phillies story is currently brewing. Where they were at one point to where they are now. They really had to win a lot of games that they won uh, and they had to really do a lot, and it wasn't easy to do it. But I mean, it shocks me that they are headed to the NLCS, to say the least. But Hey, that goes to show you in baseball that it doesn't get interesting until the playoffs. But more importantly, there's a team that you might not have on your radar that you probably should have. But anyway, I don't know what your thoughts, any more thoughts on either championship series are because, well, until the ALCS gets set, there's really not much
Yeah.
to discuss. But let's see here. Now, the last topic, we always talk about a little college football around this time of the year just because it gets interesting. And this week, LaMarr, there was a lot of surprising games. And some were in terms of performance, others were in terms of score. But overall, two games that stuck out to me were Tennessee and Alabama and Penn State and Michigan. And I'll just say this. I knew that Penn State had a terrible record coming off of a bye under Franklin. Before this loss, they were 3-6. They're now 3-7. But I don't get how you literally have 2 weeks to prepare for Michigan and you come with that performance. I mean, you had 2 weeks to study the defensive line. You had 2 weeks to really try to prepare. And I get Michigan's defense is great. I mean, it's really good. I get that, but you should have been able to muster something. I mean, I just reading about the game from different outlets and stuff like that. I believe Penn State only got one first down in the first half, and that's really abysmal. And then, prior to this game, Penn State had allowed the fewest runs per game, and I think yards per play on the ground in the Big Ten. That is, what they averaged 2.6 before this game, but that's certainly going to go up and stuff. But just to see how Michigan's run game is, it's really going to make it interesting. Now seeing how Michigan played, I'm really excited to see them face Ohio State because I think that if there's a team that might be able to take Ohio State down in the Big Ten, it would be Michigan. I mean, Michigan's got the talent. They really have an athletic center for all the credit in the world. I seen how they run different schemes and it could get kind of crazy, but it makes me excited to see that game coming up and stuff. But the other game was Tennessee and Alabama. I didn't have faith that Tennessee could lose. I mean, I kind of knew that it was 50-50. It was going to be tough. But what's crazy to me and what stood out about that game is the score. A lot of times whenever you see really good SEC games, or I shouldn't even say that, I should say highly anticipated SEC games, the scores are kind of low because, they know the talent level and everything. But if at anything, what were your thoughts about the Penn State-Michigan game and the Alabama and Tennessee game, and what other games surprised you?
For the Michigan-Penn State game, Michigan just dominated them up front, pushing their defensive line around. I mean, they ran for 400 and some yards.
Yeah, they ran for 410, 411 or so.
Yeah, you can't stop the run. You ain't gonna win on the road. Yeah, that's a big chance for Penn State to make a name for itself. You go get blew out like that, sad. Especially coming off a bye, should be fresh and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Especially a bye that's early per se in college.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks to prepare. You got 2 weeks after the full week, 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
Tennessee game. I thought Alabama was going to win that game, but Tennessee, man, they kept fighting even after the mistakes at the end of the game. They kept pushing, and Alabama hurt themselves with 17 penalties. That's the most penalties in the Nick Saban era. 17 penalties, man, hard to overcome.
Oh yeah. That holy heck, 17. That is crazy. That's a crazy stat. I don't think you really win. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't win a game with 17 penalties, but that would definitely be hard to overcome considering depending on the kind of penalty it was and how many yards. The 10s and the 15s can add up quick.
Yeah, then the Utah USC game was awesome too. Utah pulled that out 43-42. That's a huge win for them.
Oh yeah, especially with where Utah was at last year and where they finished, and stuff like that. To actually see that, I think that's a good sign for the Pac-12 for all it's worth right now. Just because, okay, yeah, Utah beat USC and stuff, so it's just good because it kind of shows that, hey, maybe Utah, you know is good enough to win the Pac-12 again. Who knows?
Yeah.
That definitely is a good sign for Utah, though, considering how USC has shown that they could win in the past. But yeah, overall, yeah, I mean, I was just shocked at how bad Penn State played
Yeah.
after 2 weeks. I was really just shocked, and I'll be honest with y'all, I didn't really watch most of the game. I watched a fair amount of it though, but I was kind of busy and not always like looking at my phone or whatever, but it just shocked me. I mean, but you know what? It goes to show me that, hey, Blake Corum, he is a very good back, and he was also a catalyst of why they beat Ohio State last year for the first time in like 11 years or so because of the run game. And just seeing that on display, you know I think it goes to show you that, hey, maybe Michigan might be able to contend with Ohio State and win the Big Ten again and, do what it is that they need to do. Maybe that they are. And it's crazy because, saying you beat them in the big house is one thing, but saying you beat them in the horseshoe is a whole nother thing because then, okay,
Mhm.
you beat them on the road. And I think that now, that game is bigger than ever to circle because I'm not here to say that Penn State's going to beat Ohio State, but the worst that this team can end up is say, you know, they can have two losses because the vast majority of their regular season schedule minus Ohio State, that's really a toss up, and I think Ohio State's going to win that one. But all the rest of their schedule it's a fair amount to say that it's in favor of Penn State because you still got Maryland and Rutgers and you still got Michigan State and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes down the line. But I also think that in a lot of ways they might Penn State might try to they got to do whatever they got to do to control their destiny. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate how this team comes off a bye. I mean, to be 3-7 coming out of a bye, that's actually really bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But it is what it is, But you at least like to have a winning record coming off of a bye. But yeah, those were pretty much the games that stuck out to me. I mean, there were other games, but there were also a fair amount of teams that were probably on a bye. So,
Yeah.
and the fewer the better. But I know that'll probably do it for this edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. For Lamar Fields, I'm Tom Johnston. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.